Okay, guys, 5 o'clock Sunday afternoon. How you doing? You all had a good weekend? Good. So we're in the usual place here. We're ready to do a little reading from one of my books, and I'm going to take some of your questions. The last few weeks we've done readings from Mud, Sweat and Tears. We did the introduction to that. We did Survival Guide for Life. We talked about overcoming obstacles and challenges and having a good attitude and stuff like that. Last week we did a spirituality one from Soul Fuel. We did a little reading on that. And this week we're doing one on how to stay alive. And I think out of all the books I've done, this one has proved really popular. And it feels especially timely in this current COVID crisis that we all find ourselves in. Learning a little bit about how to stay alive, God forbid the worst case scenario happens. Now this book is full of a lot of information. It came about for two reasons. One is that I realised that the crew and me over the years have amassed so much information in our brains. We've learnt so much through failure and through experience, and those narrow misses have become our experience. And secondly, because my family said, you have a lot of useless information in your head. At which point I always say it's useless until your life is on the line and you never know when you just might need it. So, how to stay alive. These are the sort of things we have. Everything from, simple things like essential knots to how to become an absolute ninja at navigation to hitchhiking, basic motor maintenance, how to use an abandoned car, surviving brake failures, how to climb, abseil, land a helicopter, survive a parachute failure, survive in desert, snow, jungles, crossing rivers, from surviving earthquakes to avalanches to flash floods to sandstorms to kidnappings and bear attacks, avoiding blisters, how to treat a burn, all this sort of stuff. They're about, I think they are over 100 of these, but I wanted to pick one to read you this evening and then take some of your questions. So the choice is, I'm giving you either how to survive if you're lost, or secondly how to survive an avalanche, and I will do whichever you guys prefer. Let's see, are the comments on this? Why don't we put the comments, so let's see what people are saying. Okay, looking at that, I think we should go for, what do you think? Let's have a look at that. Look at you guys, so many nice comments. That's just what I love about our YouTube channel compared to just making TV shows, is that it's raw, it's unedited, it's live, it's fresh, and most importantly we can interact. I can interact with you guys and get your feedback. Lost, a lot of people. Okay, I thought a lot of people were going to want to know how to survive in an avalanche, and I thought you might all like that because it is something very pertinent to our filming world and our adventure world, because we spend a lot of time in avalanche territory, and as any mountain man or woman knows, you got to be mega respectful of the mountains and snow conditions. Never get complacent. Avalanches kill. But I was wrong, because most people here want to learn what to do when you're lost. So we're going to do what to do when you get lost. And maybe I'll just give you one tip on avalanches. If in doubt and you're not sure about a slope, stay away from it. You'll always you only have to speak to people who've been caught in avalanches. Most terrifying thing of their life, and it's not like the movies. It goes encased like ice concrete in seconds if you're lucky enough to survive it, and people asphyxiate and suffocate so fast if they survive the initial trauma of being hit by 100-mile-an-hour 50-foot high wall of snow. So be careful of avalanches. But we're going to talk about how to survive if you get lost. Okay, we ready? A couple of pages. Here's 2 or 3 pages. Millions of people get lost every year. Sometimes they lose their lives as a result. They find themselves completely unable to retrace their steps. They become dehydrated and hypothermic. Their critical faculties grow impaired and they become less capable to make smart choices. It's a vicious cycle that can end in a corpse. Okay. When that happens, it's almost always because they made one simple mistake. They didn't stop as soon as they realised they were lost. And it's a natural human instinct to keep going. We don't like going backwards. We don't like retracing our steps. If we're intending to go from A to B, we feel we've failed if we turn back to A rather than go on to C. We talk ourselves into thinking that we're going the right way, and that is a crucial thing. We talk ourselves into thinking we're going the right way, and I've been guilty of that. I've seen people do this so often. They get a bit lost, and then they start looking at their map and they start imagining. They go, "Oh, the map says we should have a hill on our right," and they're looking. They go, "It's kind of a hill. It's not that when it's definitely not a hill." Or they start imagining that they are where they should be, but they're not. Instead, we need to be rigorous about not fooling ourselves. We need to, above all, swallow our pride. That moment when you first realise you're lost can be scary. It can make people lose their heads. It can be disorientating and frightening. Disorientating, that's a good word. I always say that in my programs, and I always get Americans going, "Bear, it's disorienting. It's not disorientating. There is no such word as disorientating, unless you're English." Getting lost can be disorientating and frightening. I've experienced it a few times, and the initial urge to panic is strong, but panic decreases your chances of survival. Try to keep a lid on it. Know that a clear head helps you make smart choices. Have a breather, stop and get some water down you. You're not lost yet, you're just temporarily confused. And this is why it's so important to initially stop and not just plough on, because at this stage you're not actually lost, you're just unsure exactly where you are at this moment, and a few small corrections, a few small things, you go, "Oh, of course I missed that thing 50 metres back, that turn off, that path or whatever." So a good way to stem the panic is to remember this acronym of STOP. STOP. This is the heart of the crux of the matter, guys. If you're lost, this is it. STOP. STOP stands for S. First of all, stop. Don't make a bad situation worse by pushing on blindly and making yourself more lost. The T stands for think. Your brain is your best survival tool, so control it and use it to think logically. The T also stands for time. Give yourself a little bit of time. This is your time to take time. The O, STO, stands for observe. If you have a map, look for big, obvious features that you can't mistake for anything else in order to correctly orientate yourself. It might be a tall antenna or a huge lake. Don't fool yourself into thinking that a small stream is definitely the one you want it to be when there are loads of streams in the vicinity. A lot of streams aren't even marked on maps, so go for big objects. And the P in stop is plan. Have a definitive strategy which will force you to think things through clearly and crucially to keep your morale up. Nothing is more dispiriting than not knowing what you're doing or where you're going. So if you're lost, stop. STOP stands for S. Stands for stop. T stands for think or take some time. O stands for, somebody got it from Turkey, observe. And P stands for come up with a plan. Okay. Next thing is retrace your steps. This is the most important thing you can do when you're lost. Don't keep wandering blindly into the unknown. We've talked about this. The chances of you stumbling across the right path are minuscule. If you can retrace your steps to the last point where you were sure of your location, then do it. Job done. Do this by looking out for landmarks that you recognise, or by rewalking an existing trail, or one that you've made. Don't let your pride get in the way. That's the most important thing. Don't let your pride get in the way. Small little corrections early on prevent catastrophic disasters later on. Men, we are worse at this. How many times people get lost in the car, a bit of map reading, and the man's always too stubborn. He thinks, "Oh, we will know it," and leave our egos behind, guys. Check early. If you are still lost, having retraced your steps, here is what you need to remember. Number 1, conserve your energy. See pages 53 to 57 for more on this. There's a whole chapter on how to conserve energy, because it's crucial that you don't exhaust yourself. If you truly are lost, you could be in this for the long haul. You'll need every ounce of energy you can muster. Number 2, keep track of time. Trying to find your way in the dark is a bad idea. If it looks like you'll have to bed down for the night, make sure you've got enough daylight to find or make a shelter. If you stumble on in the dark when you're lost, you're more likely to get really catastrophically lost, but probably worse, more likely to get injured. If you have a rucksack on, always keep it on you. Don't put it down and go and do a recce. Again, I've been in teams and groups where I've seen people do this. You know, they're lost. They go, okay, guys, what we're going to do, we're going to put all our supplies here, all our backpacks down, then we're going to go off and scout and try. And then they never find their backpacks again. So don't leave essential supplies. As I say, if you can't find your backpack, you'll be in a worse position than before. Remember, the commando ethos never gets separated from your kit. Number 4, head for water. Civilizations live near rivers and coasts. If you find a water source, follow it downstream. Okay, and water obviously is going to be your big priority if you're lost. You've got to stay hydrated. Remember the rule of 3s. We're now going a little bit off piece. This is good. Rule of 3s of survival: 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, 3 minutes without air, and then I always throw in 3 seconds without thinking. So you're going to need water one way or the other, but remember, water can lead you to people. 5, mark your trail. Even when you're lost, it's a good idea to mark your path so you can retrace your steps quickly and easily if needed. Make sure your markers are distinctive so you can find them again. If I'm on a long trail, you can do it even without people noticing. Maybe when you just pass a little thing, just put a little can of pebbles, small thing. It can be like that. Or just mark an arrow, show the way you went, just in the dirt. The rain, the wind's going to wash you away in time. Little things that don't affect the environment, but are the key markers. Even just breaking a twig in an unnatural way that nature won't do. Look back every now and again so you know what your path looks like when you're going the other way. This is actually a good one. Sometimes if you're on what you think is going to be a difficult trail, turn around and look what it looks like, because it never looks the same obviously when you're going backwards. Get up high. If you can climb a tree or a hill, you'll get a better idea of the topography of the area than you would at ground level. But don't take unnecessary risks. I know you see me a lot on Running Wild and all these shows, climbing trees to orientate myself. But only do this if you can do it safely, and if you really don't know where you are. Don't take unnecessary risks. Follow power lines. These can stretch across vast uninhabited areas, but eventually they will lead somewhere. So just be mindful of those. And again, none of these things you do on their own. When you're lost, you're gathering a mental picture of the whole picture. So. If you've got a road choice between following a road or power lines, don't follow the power lines. If you've got nothing else and you're thinking, hold on, I'm not in the middle of the Australian outback where these power cables go hundreds of miles with no people. I'm in a place where I will hit people. Use it. So you've got to use your brain above all. Light a smoky fire. If people are out looking for you, a signal fire will give them something to head for. See page 87 for the lowdown on that. Use a whistle. Almost there, guys. Use a whistle. Shouting to get people's attention is exhausting. You soon lose your voice. We all know that. If you shout too much, you lose your voice. So use a whistle. The sharp toots of a whistle carry much further and you'll use less energy. See page 88. And there are lots of cool ways you can make whistles, even with bits of blade of grass can make a really powerful whistle. Or learn how to do it like that. Finally, work out your cardinal points. See pages 71 to 8 on tips for finding north, east, south and west without a compass. And this might help you relocate a village you've travelled through or some point of safety. So there you go. That is a rapid run through the chapter on how to survive getting lost. At the end of each chapter we have a thing called KISS. This is not where I kiss you, but it stands for Keep It Simple Stupid. It's a summary of all the little things. This book is perfect for the loo. Downstairs loos. The Keep It Simple for getting lost is this. Remember stop, which as you know now stands for stop, take your time, observe, make a plan. Retrace your steps, that's a key one. Conserve your energy and keep track of time. Head for water and follow it downstream, because eventually a stream's going to lead to a river, and a river will eventually lead you to civilization. Job done. A little bit from How to Stay Alive. This is just launched actually in China as well, and it's been one of our most successful books, and it's been really fun putting it together. I'm going to finish actually just with a dedication because this sums it up. This book, really, thank you to the BG team of survival and safety experts that I've worked with on so many adventures, especially to Scott, Stanny, Meg and Dave for all your input, for the practical, resourceful and innovative details that have helped me compile this book. I dedicate this to this team who've lived and breathed all this stuff alongside me for so many years and in so many hellholes. So there we go. How to Stay Alive. Okay, I'm going to take some questions from you guys. First question is, what is your favourite place in the world? Gosh, what a good question. For me, it is our little island hideaway in North Wales, off grid. We just go there, just us guys. We protect that time we're there. We love it. It's a remote but beautiful place, and you can see some pretty bad weather. We go other parts of the world for heat, but if we want just beautiful place with our family, and we've got a lot of friends in the local community on the mainland as well, that's where we go. How do you know which mushrooms to eat and which ones to not? Wow, okay, this is a big one, and we're not going to go into massive detail with this, but the short answer is, if you don't really know your mushrooms, stay away from mushrooms in the wild and find other foods to eat. A general rule of thumb is white gills are bad, brightly coloured, really brightly coloured, or anything red is going to be bad. Toadstools obviously bad, but the rule of thumb is, if you're in a survival situation, don't go near the mushrooms unless you really know your mushrooms, because the impact of getting it wrong can be catastrophic. In fact, can kill you fast. How was your experience filming in India? I love India. I love Indian people. I love the culture. I love the terrain. We've been there, filmed with your Prime Minister Modi, in the rainforest up north, which was a privilege. I've shot with Rajinikanth, the great actor. We've just done another massive Indian iconic actor as well. That releases on Indian TV in August. And we will be back soon for many other programs in India. Why did I decide to write this book? We talked about that because so many people always ask, I wish I could know some of this stuff. And the thing is, it's maybe not a book you read start to finish. It's maybe a book you, like I say, you have it in the bathroom or whatever and you dip into it. But knowledge goes in bit by bit. And finally, do you have any advice on how to survive all of this COVID stuff we're going through at the moment? I think the principles of survival always often come down to attitude, and I think the principles are the same whatever situation we're in. Remember, courage, kindness, and never give up. And what do those things mean? Courage means facing the difficult, moving towards the difficult stuff, not letting anxiety overrun us. Look at actually things in the cold light of day, and generally in life, if we can move towards things we're scared of, that's how we overcome our fears. Secondly, be kind. It's everything. Whether you're locked down in a house or you're locked in a tent up a mountain in a storm, be kind. Selflessness is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And finally, never give up. It's the number one. It's the king of all of survival. That NGU, never give up spirit. It's resilience. It's a dogged, never say die determination. And for all of you scouts watching, wherever you are, all around the world, it's a good way to end with that great Baden-Powell quote that says, never say die until you're dead. So there we go, guys. You're amazing. Have a great week ahead, and thanks for joining, and keep spreading the word of the YouTube channel. We're building a community of people who love adventure, sneak peeks behind the scenes of my life and our team's life, and lots of good survival tips and tricks. So join us here whenever you get a second to log on to YouTube. But you guys take care.